Hello and welcome to the Inventors Arena. I'm Ed and this is Scott. Today we're going to be discussing how much is my invention worth. Scott?
It's worth $1 million, right? That's the answer we hear a lot, right?
Most commonly picked answer.
Yes. And first of all, it's important to understand why you need to pick a value for your idea. And in most cases that we face, it's because at some point in time, they intend to sit down with investors and they're trying to figure out a valuation of their idea in exchange for money.
Yes, a reasonable one.
Yes, reasonable. That's a good point. And sometimes it's $1 million and sometimes it's more and oftentimes it's not. So it's important to keep that in mind. It's also important to keep in mind whether you're valuing your idea or your business, because it could have two different valuations. You could actually sell your idea and keep your business. Yeah. So that's important, and we'll try to make that distinction as we go throughout. You mentioned reasonable. So what is reasonable? So that is what somebody would be willing to exchange in monetary value for your company or your idea. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it's a negotiation back and forth. As you're sitting down, you want to be a sophisticated entrepreneur because you are sitting across sophisticated investors a lot of times.
Yes.
And to figure out that valuation is critical. And, there's a time if it's family and friends where you might use one approach. It's different if you're meeting with an angel, and it's totally different if you're sitting down with a venture capitalist.
That's correct. Yeah, and a number isn't easy to always to come up with, is it?
We found $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. That unsophisticated. $1 million all the time. Yeah, that's just saying what you want, really. When you say $1 million or $2 million, generally it's not a round number. So, and with those unsophisticated numbers, there's no real justification, and that is absolutely not going to fly with a sophisticated investor. So our goal is to help you make it real. Scott, what you can share with how the investor or inventor can come up with a reasonable number?
Yeah, so you need to think about a few things. What stage you're in. We did another show about the different stage an inventor might be in. The further along you are in the process, generally, the higher your valuation is. Mm-hmm. So if you're at that beginning stage and you've not done a patent search yet or filed a patent, then your valuation can be at a lesser amount. Yes. So that's something to keep in mind. Generally speaking, if you are a startup inventor, first time, and you're trying to put some kind of valuation, we use what is commonly called the Berkus method in the marketplace. And it's a simple valuation that has 5 elements. It's quick and easy, and oftentimes it will be the same process that the investor sitting across the table is using as well.
Yeah, that's the one that we've got in the course.
It is, yeah.
Well, we've got different ones in there, but yeah, that's the most commonly used one because it comes up with a pretty sophisticated number that you can at least justify and explain it out.
I mean, ideally, at some point in time, if you are going to sit with an investor and ask for money, you want to use the funds chart. So you want to figure out exactly how much money you need for what period of time, and whether you need all of it up front or if you're doing multiple cycles of investors, because that changes this scenario and discussion as well. But let's assume you're doing one round with one investor. Then if you can create a use of funds, and it will never be $1 million, as you said, it's not that round number, you will be able to show in an Excel spreadsheet, I need this amount of money specifically, and this is what I'm going to use it for.
And it's all itemized out.
Yes, it is. And then you need to show the value of that, because we're talking about valuation of the company. What value will that bring to the organization then?
Yeah, because that product, it depends on how long it's going to be viable for and what the price point is on it and how many of them are going to sell. And lots that goes into it, right?
And is it a one-off sale where you're saying customers come back and buy every 3 weeks from you? Your valuation changes.
That's right. Yeah. So now, talking a little bit about the valuations again that you mentioned, what's a good practice, Scott, coming up with a good number, a number that an investor will consider?
Well, there are a number of things to factor into that. One, as we said, have you filed a patent, or even if it's just a preliminary patent? on it. You have to know, is this a unique idea or not? So you've done a patent search, and if it is and you file, then you have you're saying to the world, we believe there's something unique here. And investors will invest in uniqueness. We have something called FOMO, fear of missing out. And investors are like that too. They do not want to miss out on the next great thing.
Yes.
So that is something to factor into that. Now, level of technology. Okay? Technology costs money. If you can provide more of that up front yourself, the more you invest in your own company before you do that valuation, the higher your valuation will be, and the less amount of money that you'll have to give to the investors.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's very good. Yeah, you don't want to be putting out your numbers prematurely, and the investors are always looking for how much vested interest you got in it and how much confidence you have in it. That's one way of showing them, right?
Yeah, that increases your valuation.
And it puts you both that much closer to the finish line if you've already done a lot of that work. So once we've reached a good number, I assume will be within a range. That's how we teach it in the course. Now, I know the investor will understand the industry, the market potential and product generally better than the inventor. So how do we work around that? How does the inventor come up with a reasonable range so the investor can say, yeah, this is a serious negotiation. This is a sophisticated inventor and he knows his stuff, and I'm going to seriously consider him or her.
Yeah, oftentimes inventors will sit at the table and they will figure $1 million, right? That is my valuation. That's what I want. But there are a number of factors, and you need to think about it. And as we prep, when we do pitch practice, that last pitch practice, you need to sit there thinking you are the investor and view it through their mindset. And they will have pulled an industry report. They will be able to figure out some valuation. They will come to the table with their idea, and it's a negotiation then at that point in time.
Yeah, because they've obviously done their homework. They're not going to go in there and risk their money without knowing. And so you should, as the inventor, the pitcher, also have done your homework, right?
Absolutely.
That's why it's so much of that pitch, and homework, because there's just so much.
We have that in our program, and everybody says, why am I pitching every week? Why am I doing this? Why am I practicing? There's a reason why. It's very important when you sit down in front of the investors.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people get up on stage, even you see on Shark Tank, and the shark will say, well, this much. And some of the inventors look like they're a deer caught in the headlights, right? They don't know whether they're back to answer yes, back, or let's negotiate further. So that's why we create that range, so that it's an instant yes or no. And then there's, you can always negotiate it, right? But it's, you're within the range at least.
Yeah.
So as always, it's the professional presentation with the right message to the right audience, right? Scott was mentioning about really getting into the mind of the investor, because they are the audience, right? Or your customer is the audience in the end. So know your number in great detail and be able to justify them. Don't be unsophisticated about it, because it just shines through right away. Stick within your range and negotiate a great deal for both of you. It can't be a selfish thing. It should be really a win-win so that you can both be winners.
It is, yes. Now, as you're thinking through what might be the valuation, of course, we have some models in the program at the inventorsarena.com that you can work through. It starts with the Berkus model, and that's generally the basic one that you can start with. It gets more sophisticated from there, but that's the one we advise everybody, particularly if you're a first-time inventor. It takes you, 20 minutes to think through and come up with a valuation.
Yes.
And you can sit there and you can justify it with an investor if you need to.
Yeah.
But like we said, the more prepared you are, the more money that you have invested in your own idea, and the more steps or phases that you are in the process, the greater your valuation will be.
Yeah, and it's knowing, what the competition is selling in the industry. What can it sell for? Because if your number's way out to lunch, it's just got to be really close in there. Have your homework done.
Yeah, that is the key, is to be prepared. To sit with that sophisticated investor. Now, Where do you do that? Where do you prepare to do that? So we have resources on our website at the Inventors Arena. We also highly recommend everybody go to an Inventors group.
Yeah.
They're all across the country. At the inventorsarena.com, we have a map at the bottom of the page that shows a list of all of them. We highly encourage everybody to go there. If you have thoughts or questions that you're really not sure about, send them to us. And maybe we'll do another show and talk about your questions specifically. Our content is designed for our audience, not for us. We've been doing this for 50 years. We don't need to hear this, right?
And some of the inventors groups will even let you get up there and do your pitch. You know, you want to be confidential with what you're saying, but if you get all practiced up, they can sometimes let you do your pitch, or you can do it in front of a mirror or whatever works. But it's really good to know your stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you enjoyed our content today and some of our content in the past, we would appreciate if you would subscribe to our channel and like this particular episode.
Like it and thumbs up.
Yes. And we'll see you next time.
Go be your best inventors. Be your best you. See you next week.
The inventors are